We're out here today with the brand new Garmin Fenix 6 Pro Solar Titanium. You know it's kind of nerve-wracking having like $2,000 worth of watches on your wrist when you go out for a run. That sky's looking pretty angry. Whew. This one was expensive. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave from Chase the Summit, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Garmin Fenix 6 Pro Solar Titanium model. This one retails for $1,100 in the US, and it is the most expensive Fenix 6 middle range option. So the 47mm Fenix 6, not the 6X. I typically don't do unboxings on this channel, but this one's a little different. So we're gonna take a look inside. As you can see, this is a standard Fenix 6 Sapphire. The box is much larger on this solar model, so let's take a look inside. Before we get into it, if you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, make sure you give me a thumbs up down below and consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with all my future videos. All right, so I'll admit I have opened this box before. I was really eager to check it out, but I have repackaged it exactly like it was when it first got here. So let's take a look inside. First, we slide that cardboard covering off. Get rid of that. And you're greeted with this really fancy looking Garmin box. This, I think it's cardboard, but it has this kind of appearance of being wood, if that makes any sense. Either way, you can tell it's definitely more expensive packaging than the standard Fenix 6 that just comes in this cardboard box. So there's something special going on here right off the bat. Now, when you open the lid, ta-da, wow, it kind of hinges back and you're greeted with the Titanium Pro Solar Fenix 6. This one's pretty cool. Let's get rid of the box for a second. By default, they ship it with the titanium vented strap, which is really nice looking. To be honest, I don't know if I'll ever wear the vented strap. It's not really my style. So to disconnect this strap, you actually push these like belt buckle things in the back and it opens up for you. All right, so let's peel the top sticker off. Like I said, I have opened this before, so the watch is already set up for me. So let's take a closer look. And I'm just gonna take the titanium strap off for now because it's kind of hard to handle. Put my trusty bright colored neon strap on here. If you like these, you can check out the link in the description. They're pretty cheap on Amazon. So there we are. That's how I'll wear it on a daily driver basis. I don't typically wear the heavy metal bands. I like these silicone bands. I'm more of a function over form kind of guy. Let's bring the box back in and see what else we got. So we've got the titanium vented band here on top, and then underneath, you've got a secondary box, and inside that box is your standard silicone band, which is nice that they include that. You don't have to just wear the titanium band. And then you've got your charging cable, and that's it. All right, there she is. That's the Garmin Fenix 6 Titanium Pro Solar. So I picked this up last week. I've had it for a few days now, and I've been really comparing it a lot with my Sapphire Fenix 6 that I've got here. So let's take a look at both of them side by side. Right off the bat, you'll notice the major difference with the solar model is that it has Gorilla Glass rather than Sapphire. It's not quite as durable as the Sapphire on the Sapphire model here, but it is much more easier to read. There's less reflections, no glare. So even from my overhead camera here, you can see, even if I clean off, let me clean that off. Even if I clean off the Sapphire model, that there's a lot less reflections going on the Pro model, which I like. The only thing is it does make me a little nervous about durability. You can put screen protectors on these, but then you end up with kind of a reflection that kind of looks like the Sapphire model anyways, so you might as well just get Sapphire. So far, Garmin has not shipped a Fenix 6 with Sapphire and solar options, and I think it's due to that reflection. You're not going to get the most sunlight into the solar panel of the watch with that Sapphire lens because it reflects the light back out. So they use Gorilla Glass to improve that solar performance. However, they did just release a Tactics Delta, I think, with Power Glass Sapphire, which is supposedly Sapphire and solar. We'll see how that works. I don't have one here, but it does sound pretty interesting. So this isn't going to be a full review of the Garmin Fenix 6. If you want to see that, I've got other videos on my channel that I deep dive through all the menus and stuff. This is purely just looking at the new Titanium Pro Solar model. Again, this is the standard Fenix 6. This isn't the 6X, and that's why the solar is new to it. They just added this a week ago. So yeah, comparing these two side by side, they've got a lot of similarities. I mean, the menu system is exactly the same. The amount of activities that you can track with them is exactly the same. And now both firmwares have been updated to that 10.10, the new one that just rolled out. which has the new sleep tracking, and it's got indoor climbing and bouldering and surfing as activities now. That's on both of these watches. There's really no difference in terms of the guts or how they work on a day-to-day basis. They're exactly the same watch. The only difference is that the Solar model has a solar panel inside. So if you get a closer look at the Fenix 6 Solar, you can look at the very edge around the perimeter, and there's this kind of copper looking orangey ring that goes around the edge of the watch. That's supposedly a 100% solar panel. So any sun that hits that is going to be absorbed and put into the battery. Now the glass itself, however, everything inside of that ring is still a solar panel. It's just not as efficient. It doesn't deliver as much power to the battery as that ring around the perimeter. I think it's like 10% or something. So it's not really as powerful as that ring. To my eye, I don't see anything under the glass. It's totally transparent. However, I have noticed that the backlight of the Pro model is a little warmer. It's a little reddish compared to my Sapphire. And I'll show you that right now. I'm gonna turn all the lights off and we'll take a look at it in the dark. So here we've got the Fenix 6 Solar on the right, and then we've got the Sapphire on the left. And if you can tell, there's an ever so slight difference in the backlight color. This is more of a bluish true white look on the Sapphire, and then the Pro model has more of a, it's like a reddish, or it's just a little bit warmer. And to be honest, if I didn't have both side by side, I probably wouldn't even question this, but it is something I noticed right off the bat when I picked it up. I personally prefer the whiter looking whites on the Sapphire. Don't mistake this difference in color for one of those washed out displays like I've had in my other videos. This is purely just a color difference. It still has really good contrast. It might even have better contrast than the Sapphire. Now let's talk about price real quick. The Garmin Fenix 6 Pro Solar Titanium is an $1,100 watch, which is borderline insane. I don't think most people are gonna drop that kind of money on such an expensive watch, except for me, because I'm a little crazy. The Sapphire model is $799, and it's actually like $750 on Amazon right now. I'll put a link in the description for that. So this is certainly a better value. The other major difference between the Pro Solar Titanium and the Sapphire is the weight. I've got my hokey gram scale here. Let's weigh these out. So the Fenix 6 Sapphire weighs 84 grams according to my scale with the strap, and the Fenix 6 Pro Solar Titanium is 71 grams. So what's that, 13 grams difference? So that 13 grams difference between these two watches is kind of a big deal to me. I've been wearing the Sapphire model for about a year, and it's always been a little bit heavy. It's been a little bit cumbersome, felt a little bit bulky, and I've always thought about upgrading to a titanium model. However, the only titanium model that was in the Fenix 6 line had the silver bezel, and I didn't love that. So I stuck with the stainless steel model. Now the titanium model here is certainly lighter, and I feel it. I feel that on my wrist. What's 13 grams? I think that's like the weight of a AAA battery or something. They're both advertised as carbon gray DLC coatings. Again, the Sapphire model has a stainless steel bezel, whereas the titanium model has a titanium bezel, obviously. But they are both coated with a diamond-like coating, so that should improve durability. There's a misconception a lot of people have when it comes to the titanium model, that titanium is actually more durable than stainless steel, when in fact stainless steel is actually a harder material than titanium. However, it is heavier. My Sapphire with stainless steel in the DLC coating has proven to be super durable. I've really abused this thing, and it's got like little to no sign of wear. It's got a couple of microscopic chips up at the top of the bezel, but nothing major. So I'm curious to see how the titanium model holds up. Hopefully that diamond-like coating will improve the durability over time. I'm also a little worried about that Gorilla Glass. Again, I don't fully trust the Gorilla Glass. I've had the Garmin 945 with the same type of glass, and I managed to scratch that. So we'll see what happens with this. I don't think I'm gonna put a screen protector on it because I really like how visible and readable it is. The solar model actually has a larger lens, and that allows for the solar panel around the perimeter. It's really hard to tell. I've been trying to measure these with my calipers, but it's almost impossible to get the calipers perfectly in there. By my eye, I think they have the same size screen, but I think the bezel on the solar model is slightly thinner. So in practice, that weight difference on my wrist has been noticeable for everyday life, especially when I'm sleeping, and also when running. I don't feel it wiggling around as much on my wrist, and I'm curious to see over time if that improves the heart rate accuracy. I've always had this theory that the weight of the Garmin Fenix 6 played a role in why it doesn't have perfect heart rate accuracy. That weight, you know, kind of wobbles around. Even if you have the strap really tight, it tends to wobble around a little bit, whereas the titanium model being a little bit lighter might reduce that a little bit, hopefully. I'm not sure. So as far as the solar goes, is it worth it? Well, it's hard to say. So I've taken these watches on a couple of runs out in the sun, and I've tried a direct comparison, having the Sapphire and the Solar model on each of my wrists in the same conditions on the same run. And the problem here is my Fenix 6 Sapphire is a year old, so the battery has been degraded a little bit. So it's really hard to tell apples to apples here. So in terms of GPS performance with the battery, Garmin claims you can get up to 40 hours of GPS activity as long as you get 3 hours of sunlight during that activity. And the Garmin Fenix 6 Sapphire can do about 35 hours. So you're paying up for like an extra 5 hours, and that's only if you get 3 hours of sunlight. Now in standby time, it's a little bit different. The Garmin Fenix 6 Solar will get up to 16 days if you get a little bit of sunshine in there, whereas the Garmin Fenix 6 Sapphire will get up to 14 days. So you only gain about 2 days there. What's interesting is this isn't the only new solar model that Garmin has released lately. They released the brand new Solar Instinct, which supposedly has unlimited battery life because it has a much larger solar panel. I'm looking forward to checking out the Solar Instinct. I don't have one in my possession yet, but Garmin is sending me one hopefully next week, so stay tuned for a video on that in the near future. In terms of special features only for the Solar model, you get this special watch face which has a little solar indicator at the bottom. It's kind of a graph, and basically as your day goes on and when you're out in the sun, you'll see little spikes in there. You can tell I've been in the house all day today, but I have gone outside a couple of times to, you know, bring out the trash or whatever. And there you can see when I was outside, there's a little spike in the solar graph there. And if you go down into your widgets, you'll see a new widget for solar intensity. And if you click into that, it'll bring you an even larger graph, so you can see how much solar you've gotten over the past 6 hours, which is kind of a cool feature. So it'll let you know if it's worth it. On top of that, this data is actually recorded to Garmin Connect, which is pretty cool. So when you go out on a run, record your GPS data. When you go into Garmin Connect later on, you'll actually see a little solar graph showing you how much solar intensity you've gotten through the run. And that's a good way to know how much battery life you should have gotten out of that. But there's no quantified way to tell, you know, 3 hours of battery life will give you X amount of time. It's really hard to say because there's, you know, shade and cloud cover and all that stuff. So the Solar model does come in a couple other flavors. They get a little bit cheaper than this one. This is the highest end of the highest end. This is the titanium model. They have another titanium model that's actually white, which is pretty cool looking. They start at $849 and then they go all the way up to this one, which is $1,100. So deciding between these two watches is pretty tough. Basically, you're sacrificing a little bit of durability for a little bit of battery life. Now, I know the Sapphire is super durable. I've put this thing through hell and it's held up really well, whereas the Power Glass is yet to be seen. I'm a little bit worried about it, but I'm not going to baby it. I'm just going to go out there and use it as it was intended. The other big feature for me is the weight savings. This upgrade for me is more about the weight than anything else, I think. It's only 13 grams, but really, you notice it when it's on your wrist. The Fenix 6 Sapphire is still a fantastic watch, and if you want the maximum durability, I would suggest picking this one up over the Solar. So far, the Solar feature is pretty cool, but it does still feel a little bit gimmicky. At the end of the day though, which one is right for you? Are you going to pick up the Sapphire or the Solar model? Anyways, this is just a quick video. I wanted to compare these two and show you guys what they're all about. Again, this was not a in-depth review. If you want to see that, go check out some of my other videos. I really dive deep into these. If you got any specific questions about either of these watches, the Sapphire or the Pro Solar model, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to answer them for you. Again, I'll have some affiliate links down in the description below if you're interested in picking one of these watches up. If you decide to buy one, it helps my channel and it costs you nothing. Be well, be safe. I'll see you in the next one.